They were asking for any tips on how to deal with the transition, hiring, and training. I know some of you guys have experienced this recently, so if you have, if you'd like to speak to that.
Besides calling you.
I mean, I can review what we did last year, Emily, if you want.
Sure, that'd be great.
Aside from obviously calling you and having your help create a good job description for us and posting it. For us, the key, and I know, and I understand that every budget allows us, but the key is we had overlap. That helped a lot. But what I realized in that transition is our previous CED, who was our CED for 14 years, didn't have any type of standard operating procedures. Didn't have a general contact list, it was all on her phone and she knew exactly who to call. Transitioning that information was key, especially when you consider all the annual main events that we do, aside from like the one-offs, new things, but your golf event, your expo, your, whatever, our sponsorship appreciation dinner, our holiday party, that type of stuff. What we're doing now is just putting those things in those categories. So, locations, contacts per event, that type of deal. But going through that transition, obviously that overlap we had a good 2-month overlap, helped tremendously. But again, in participating in that overlap, I saw there was not an organization, for lack of a better term, of this is XYZ, and that's the biggest thing I can recommend moving forward in preparation of what if someone quits tomorrow and you don't have that overlap, is at least you have all that information and so forth, and organized in your laptop as well, by event and case and all that stuff.
Well, we're the chapter who is dealing with this Chesapeake chapter, and I guess the good news is we have spent the last, I'm going to say 3 years getting our ship in shape. So we had a job description. We also have a lot of procedures in place, and we have basically asked the CED to put together, this has been going on for the last 2 years, a timeline of events so that we know when things are going to happen, and the lead time that we need for everything, both for events, insurance, anything that we have to renew as a chapter. So some of that we do have in place. We're not going to have, we have asked, we also have 2 other staff members, one of whom is relatively new, but the other who has been with the chapter for quite a while. And we are sort of figuring out where the holes are, what are the things that just the CED knows how to do and the other members of the staff do not. We've also asked the members of the staff what they're interested in learning so that they may take on forever, ever, and ever, because frankly, we were at the point where we are going to need to hire somebody else. We need not only a CED, but another half person. So we were frankly just at that point of figuring out what we should take off the current staff and ship to somebody else. So we're almost looking at this as an opportunity to see what can get shifted to the current staff that they would like to know how to do and that they would like to learn how to do, and then figure out, after the CED is in place and we know who it is and we know what his or her skill sets are, where our holes are going to be. Our current CED, thank goodness, is very tech savvy and has helped us through the whole COVID craze. We may not be that fortunate next time. Are we going to have to hire either a company or somebody with tech skills to help us get all of the webinars, all of the podcasts, and all the other things that we have started doing? The one thing that we're not going to have the benefit of is overlap. Our current CED is leaving April 1st, and he's been extremely gracious and has said, basically, I'm not going anywhere. My phone is not going to stop working on April 1, and I will be very, very happy to help with things. And he's even volunteered to come to our big golf event after his contract has expired, we have offered to pay him on a contract, on a contract basis for the work that he's done. And his answer to us was let's see how it goes. Unless it becomes really, really excessive, I don't want to, charge the chapter for any additional time. So we will at least have the benefit of being able to hire him as an independent contractor to help us through, but we're not going to have two people at the same time. It's March 11th, 9th, 10th, whatever it is already, 10th. What did you have the board do? Because, the board has,
it's more so, what we did more so than the board is the committees got much more involved than they probably ever have been before. And it's a paradigm shift in the thought mentality of what we've historically done. Like chairmen actually have to do work and not just hear information and pass it to the CD. The other benefit, or the other thing that we try to do our best is do the whole entire calendar year, so you actually know what's coming up the whole year. The webinars are the easiest part, and what we did is divide the year by time period. For example, we did all of our webinars and we wanted to focus the first quarter on, first we did annual elections, because most elections and annual meetings are in January. Second quarter was focused on hurricane preparation, because June 1st is hurricane season down here. So all of our webinars were our water restoration companies, hurricane preparation from hurricane companies. Third quarter was more based on budgeting and finance, because you're coming into budget season. So we set all of our webinars in advance for the whole year with the sponsors that want to teach those webinars based on the time of year. Last quarter was just end of year type of stuff, technology. We had a technology period where we have software companies and do their things. That to me, like for me, if my CED walks out tomorrow, I don't have to worry about that. That's already set. As far as our webinars, our education committee is really getting more involved as well, for our lunch and learns and our breakfast hot topics events, stuff like that, setting that up. They're getting more hands-on involved, and going back to what I originally said, our committee chairs are really getting more hands-on involved, and I can appreciate all the extra time and effort they're putting in, whereas the CED is just the facilitator. Right. And, she's like, I do the golf myself. I'm the chair of the golf. So I've been very involved with our upcoming golf event on April 1st. And I work with our marketing person who does all the flyers and everything. And our CD is always in the loop, and she's following up, just ordering the bag, the bottles, all the hats and, that type of stuff. But and as we're doing that, she's creating the whole contact list for golf. For example, if I move or leave next year, and if she leaves, at least someone can pull that up and say, oh, here's everything they did last year, that type of stuff. But your annual calendar events does help. We lay that out all by quarter between education stuff, networking items, our big events, for our expo in September. We just finished our sponsor deck for our expo in September, and that's getting ready to go out now. So that's already trying to line up the sponsors as much as advanced as possible, because down here expos are like every other month. There's so many expos from other organizations down here, and we try not to clash and get that time period. We do an expo in the Keys. We're trying to do Keys events, and there's a lot of new things we're doing on top of that. But getting that annual calendar to me is just the most important thing. That way you have a 12-month to-do list and know what to expect.
We have that. We're very, very fortunate in that we have all of our events through the end of the year all planned out. We're even a step ahead. We have every contract in place for every venue. The issue for us is, we do manager breakfasts. Okay, the contract's in place. The place is in place, the vendors in place, all of that is good. The education committee has gotten the topic together. The sponsorships are all done. We're very fortunate. We've got all that done, but we're still looking at, okay, who's getting to the event early to make sure it's set up properly? Mm-hmm. Who's leading the event? Okay. Who's going to make sure all the, pardon the expression, the crap gets there? And who's going to make sure all the crap gets taken away? And, that the CED did. And now it's sort of like, okay, what we did, I don't know if this is right or wrong, is we looked at our calendar of events through September, figuring that we should have a new CED in place, up and running by then. And one board member became the point person for each event to make sure that, like I said, all those little things happen. And, you know, although the board, we are a very, very fortunate, I have an excellent board this year. Excellent board. Everybody's rolled up their sleeves and helped out. And we've really divided and conquered. And we do tend to, as a board, as much as possible, go to most events, but I pleaded with the board to please make it a point of going to as many events as possible to make sure that the face is there, because our CED is very loved, I mean, you know, the response that I've gotten when people heard that he was leaving was from, I'm going to cry to I'm going to throw up. So, you know, I felt it was very important that the board and the face of the organization somehow still be there. But more importantly, just in case there are all these different things that we probably didn't even know that he was doing that need to get done, at least there are more hands on board. But again, there's one contact person on the board for each event so that the staff knows where to go to.
Yeah, that's great. You said, I don't know if this is right or wrong. I don't think there is a right or wrong, you know, whenever you're doing this. And I think it's going to depend on the chapter. And I think that was really wise of you to assign a board member to each, because you as the president, and I'm looking at you too, Lauren, I'm looking at you, Steve, you guys could take on so much, you know, during the transition. And it's important for you not to get burned out as well. Alexandria posted a question in the comments. And Susan, I know that you guys did this. When and how did you communicate the CED's departure to the membership? Do you want to speak to that?
Sure. We actually decided that we were going to do it sooner rather than later. We sent the members, I think, a really nicely worded email explaining, I'm happy to share it if anybody wants to see it, explaining that, you know, Steve was leaving. And we sent it out literally a half hour before the ad got posted because we didn't want the rumor mill starting. And we felt that it was important for people to know. I want to say, as the president, I found out on a Tuesday. The executive committee found out on Tuesday. The rest of the board found out on Wednesday. And the email to the membership went out the following Friday. So,
hey, Susan. First of all, hi, nice to see you. Hi. How much notice did Stephen give? Because it's a little bit, I think, some different circumstances, because like Steve, his CED was a retirement, so there were several months in advance. Yours is Steve's taking another job.
Correct.
So it's probably a shorter time frame. Just, I think that would be helpful.
Let me get a calendar and I'll tell you exactly how much notice we got. He told me on, I'm gonna say the email went out March 4th. He told me on February 22nd.
So basically a month.
Yeah, well, February short, 5 weeks. But again, I want to say this, and everybody should know this. He has been totally telling us that he's not leaving, even though he's leaving April 1st. He's not going to not be available to us to help. So.
That's great. I did put in the chat a CED search and staff transition document. This has been really helpful to me. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of chapters the last few years in transition. And one of the best things is for them to put together a search committee first. And this could be a couple members from the board.
We did that.
Awesome.
I have been given the title Queen of Delegating. You know, one of the board members actually said, I thought I was good at this, but Susan's beats me. We have a personnel committee of 3 board members who happens to also be on the executive committee. The 3 members of the personnel committee are in charge of going through all the resumes, doing the initial screening of, doing the initial phone call. And then if the person, the applicant passes muster, then it's going to go to the executive committee to interview the candidate. So, oh yeah, we did that too.
Great. And this transition document as well also has, for those of you who may not be so organized as Steve, that is a real blessing that doesn't happen everywhere. And so it has on the end of it a list of things that you want to make sure that you collect from the executive director. And we're available to help too. We know that you guys have, your own jobs, and I've helped Steve and I've helped Lauren, to kind of field some of these resumes, look through them. As Steve said, I help them develop their listing, for the position, and help them post it and kind of monitor that as well. I also did some initial phone screenings for them. So I would talk to the candidate and then pass them along if, so just to let you guys know, if you guys are facing this coming up, or if you do in the future, please reach out to us, because we definitely have some good resources to help as well.
Yeah, and Susan, to answer your question about like the breakfast, who sets all that up and who helps. So again, since the breakfast is more of an education type thing, because we always do a 1-hour education at our breakfast, our education chair is usually there helping the CED every month. And we don't have a lot of overhead to the extent we don't have an office. We have a storage facility and we have a PO box as our main mailing one. So there are people designated to be able to go to that storage facility and get what they need if they need something. But what you said, ironically, is what I just sent an email to my board 2 weeks ago about divide and conquer. Not every board member can go to everything. We have Broward events, we have date events. And I actually asked the board, we just need, and this came out because we had a beach cleanup event and I didn't see, while the attendance was great, I was there, but no other board members were able to make it. And I just, I asked for commitments from board members, those of you that live in Dade County, are you able to make XYZ events? Those in Broward, I'm not asking every board member to go to every event, but it's just nice to have that representation and help out, not just show up and show face, actually help out. But yeah, the committee chairs for me, they're stepping it up, and we need them to step it up so it just doesn't 100% fall on our CED, because she's new too. This is her 3rd month doing this thing on her own, and I'm on the phone pretty much every day with her, because we have our golf event April 1st, and that's kind of like our biggest event of the year.
We're also very lucky in the Chesapeake chapter in that we have very engaged committees, and oh my God, especially some of the committee chairs, they do, I can't ask them to do any more than they're doing. We are very fortunate in that this chapter has seen a huge amount of growth in the last 2 or 3 years, and the work that the committees have had to do to keep up with the differing needs of this expanded membership has been incredible. So, I am very lucky.
And do you have board liaisons to the chapter as well? Do you have? Okay, great. Because you asked how the board members could help, and that's one way they could really step up and strengthen that relationship.
Yeah, there is a board liaison to every committee.
Awesome. Does anyone else want to add to this? Go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just going to say in the events, I'm going to go back to our monthly breakfast and our lunches. Like the CED gives me a cheat sheet of things to announce when we start the program. So I typically do that, but if I'm like, I didn't make the last one. So I'll call my president-elect, hey, are you going to this event? He says, yes. I'm like, I need you to take the helm, do the announcements and introductions, or I'll call my vice president. And it's a great team, no problem here. We'll take it and that type of stuff. So.
Great. Do you want to add to this discussion, or does someone have something else they'd like to talk about?
I do. I know. So last year we did our first awards type of thing. And we just started to do it small because it was all new to us. So we just did like a manager of the year and our board member volunteer of the year. And I saw the great video that Jersey did. I don't know, no, Jersey's not on here. I don't see him. The great video, and my goal is in the next 3 years to become this big, elegant evening of, you know, all these awards. And, you know, I talked about launching a Hall of Fame type of deal. And we had a long time board member pass away a year and a half ago. So he would be our first induction to the Hall of Fame. What we want to do is expand on that. And if anybody has any awards criterias of different categories you can send me, that would be fantastic. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. If those of you that actually do awards like volunteer of the year, board business partner of the year, whatever that is, and have a written criteria on, you know, to qualify on these, I would appreciate that.
Anyone have any awards programs they'd like to discuss, or are you guys, anyone looking for the same type of thing?
We decided that we were going to start an awards program, and we were going to have our first set of awards go out at our annual social in December, which is usually like the big holiday party. And due to COVID, we canceled it. So the only award that we gave out last year was the recruitment award, because we had already announced that we were going to be doing it. So we gave that out. I'd have to look, but we do have criteria for, we gave it a different name with a Chesapeake sounding thing, but it's basically a rising star, volunteer of the year, recruiter of the year. And we divided recruiter of the year between business partners and others, because business partners, they touch so many people that they sort of have an advantage over, you know, everybody else. I can look to see if we do have the criteria that we put together for those awards. And if I find it, I'll send it to you.
We do an annual awards event with a sort of a, past few years, it's been a casino night, which is kind of fun. And then we have a formal sit down dinner, and then we actually have a DJ and dancing afterwards. So it's kind of a, we usually do it in January, and we have same thing, volunteer of the year, business partner of the year. There's, I can't remember all the categories and the criteria, but Steve, I can send it to you. But we do have a Hall of Fame. We have a portfolio manager of the year, on-site manager of the year, committee of the year. Just there's a lot. So, but it's usually a fun event, and it's usually really well attended, and it's actually a pretty big moneymaker for the chapter as well.
And I will tell you, from having, you know, just gone through this exercise of coming up with an awards program, we wanted to just to start small, but we were also, this was something that we wanted to give to the members. So we purposely did the awards not to award board members, because there's
not the CAI.
We do our best. Yeah, we
Yeah.
do our best to do that at the national level as well. It's kind of inside baseball.
right, because the last thing, I mean, I've been to some events where, you know, it's the board praising
Recognizing the
each
board.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we purposely wanted to stay away from that. So no board member is eligible for any of these awards.
I agree. I meant community board member, like board leader, community leader type thing.
Right.
Yeah, we do that. We have association of the year, and then we have board member of the year for, yeah, not the chapter board, but for the an association board within the chapter. So the only thing we really do is we recognize the outgoing president, since it's in January, but we don't do awards for the board members.
Oh, well, they can recognize me if they want as I go bye-bye, trust me.
Waqar, go ahead.
I mean, we do our sponsorship appreciation dinner every year, which is all of our chapter sponsors get an award. And then that's when we recognize our outgoing president. We give them a little hammer thing with their name on it. But I'm going to encompass that into this awards gala event that I'm hoping to achieve one day. But yeah, Clint, I sent you a private chat with my email address. If you want to send whatever you got, I appreciate it. That's great.
Waqar, go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am president of the Middle East chapter. We're just starting out, so I was just listening to all the conversation, learning from you guys how you are running your chapters and dealing with this. So we've not had any big chapter events before, small educational events. So something that we are just discussing at brainstorming level is recognizing staff that works in the associations, in the maintenance staff, the security staff, the cleaning staff, someone who's done extraordinary work, gone above and beyond. So that is community managers or board members not recognizing each other, but they recognizing someone who supports the communities and does a good job. And it's important for them to get the recognition at from the community management industry. So that was one idea that we were discussing. No criteria as yet. We'll brainstorm on that. But I would also be interested in getting the criteria that Clint and Steve and Susan, who've been graciously discussing all their experience. So why don't you guys just share it on this community thread? So maybe others who are not here, they may also benefit from these criteria, and we could incorporate that. Thank you.
Yes, great idea. I'm putting on here right now the link to the exchange group. So all of the presidents and president-elects have access to the exchange. And this exchange is not as widely used as I would like it to be, because I think you guys share so much here. And anytime you have a question, it only goes to the chapter presidents and president-elects. It doesn't go to the CEDs. And so you guys can post questions on there. So I'm going to put the link in the chat.
I also shared the Greater Los Angeles chapter's most recent award category descriptions for you in the chat. And that was a draft, and we actually made some changes at a subsequent board meeting, but that's pretty close to what we ended up with. And we have given out chapter awards on an annual basis in 2 different ways. Some years we've done it at our end of the year big gala that we hold in November. We did that again this past November. And in other years, we actually held an awards luncheon in January for the previous year's recipients. And it was a formal red carpet fun event, but done in the middle of the workday. I tend to prefer the evening gala to give out those awards, but it's always challenging to mix in giving the award recipients the recognition they deserve when everyone's distracted playing casino games or doing the other things that they want to do at an evening event. So it's been kind of a back and forth trial and error for our chapter.
I have a question on that note too. We typically have done the annual meeting at our gala, which is in December. And last year, due to COVID, as I said, we canceled the gala, and we did the annual meeting at a December breakfast, and it went really, 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 really well. But we can't quite figure out, just in terms of breadth and depth, we only have 3 staff people. So having a big breakfast and having a social all within a week of each other, we just can't pull it off. But the annual event and the awards at a breakfast really went off nicely, as opposed to at a dinner where people are distracted, doing other things. So we're struggling with that as well.
Anyone else have anything they do as it pertains to awards? All right, what other burning questions or thoughts do you have? Well, how many of you guys are planning to attend annual conference? Great, great. We do want to let you know that there will be a chapter leader lounge on Thursday and Friday, and we will get that schedule out to you, but we invite you to come in and out during that day. We're going to have some great speakers presenting on different topics that are pertinent to the chapter. So I would encourage you guys to look for that and make plans to join us in there.
You don't need to bring speakers in Florida.
Say that again.
Guys, you don't need to bring it in Florida for you in the cold areas. In Orlando, it's going to be nice and warm.
Yes, it will. You broke up for a second. I was listening.
Oh, no, I'm just saying to be nice and warm. You don't need to pack sweaters.
Oh, okay. I do. I get freezing in those rooms, so I have to pack a sweater.
Unless you're from the desert and everywhere is cold once you leave here. So that's
That's true. Someone else was going to say something.
Yes, this is Terry from Hawaii. I have a question. We're thinking about having a blood drive since there's a big need, not only locally, but nationally. And has anyone ever done that or could give us some suggestions? I posed this because I was, we're thinking about doing an outreach community project. You folks have much bigger chapters and more staff, so you can do more things than we can. And we're a small organization. And we also have the problem of outer islands, neighbor islands. So how can we get them to participate? And since they have blood mobiles on the outer islands, we thought that is a way that we could get them to participate as well. But has anybody ever done that or can offer any suggestions or?
Lauren, if you're there, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I was actually just on the Utah chapter's board meeting and they talked about a blood drive.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And so we're similar. We are very small. So we've had one paid person, our CED for the past, and that person just pretty suddenly departed. So now the board has just kicked it into high gear to try to figure everything out. But we actually did the first one in 2020. So it was COVID. We did it outside. So we just kind of set up some tents and then we had various business partners kind of bring tables and games and prizes so that people had some stuff to do. I can't recall if we had, I think we had a food truck. I don't think we'd pay for a food truck again. I think we would probably have one come, but not pay the cost just because we are such a small chapter. That's a big charitable donation for us to pay for the food, but having that option would be good. But yeah, it went pretty well, but this is Utah. So of course it should have been nice and it rained. And it was cold rain. We don't have nice Hawaii rains. We have freezing sleet rain or hot desert. I can see Rocky Mountain chapters like, yep, we feel you. Yeah. It's so it went really well. And it's nice when the community can come together because, a lot of us are competitors. And so it was kind of nice to get everybody together in that format. So I think if it's for a good cause, it'll turn out well. People will help.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, we were thinking about having it over a 3-month period or something. And because there's several facilities, then people could make their own appointment. And they have, the blood bank has software so they could, as long as they say they're with CAI, then we could track how many people came in. And then we thought, well, people who can't donate, or maybe they want to donate and maybe also give money, then we thought of buying restaurant cards to support our hospitality industry because they've been hit pretty hard. So, and then have prizes, but because of the population, 90% of the population is on Oahu. So it's not really fair to have like Lanai, who has, I don't know, maybe 50,000 people. If they bring in something like 20 pints of blood, that could be a good portion of their population. So we thought about, doing it by percentage of population for contributions, and then who recruited the most blood donors or whatever. But in other words, so we could bring in our neighbor island brothers and sisters and recognize them in our newsletter of their efforts. And but I don't know, I mean, last year we had a food drive for hugs, but that entails a lot of coordination and in one day. But people, when you pick one day, there's always people who have stuff to do on that particular day that they can't change. So that's
Yeah.
why we were thinking of a longer time period. But I mean, I don't know, you know, we want it to be successful and we want to give back to the community, but
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. We endeavored to do that. So we have Northern Utah and then we have Southern Utah, and there's a whole lot of Utah in the middle, but there are no community associations there really. So we wanted to arrange it, but we just had Red Cross come out with their mobile unit and we couldn't align the Southern Utah at the same time. So definitely planning ahead to coordinate all of that would be helpful, because I think we just got on the bandwagon too late to coordinate well.
well, one thing is the blood bank already has dates set for the neighbor islands. So we thought we would just do it in coordination with the dates that they've already set up, so that we wouldn't, because I think if you ask for our particular blood bank, if you ask for a specific mobile unit, you have to kind of guarantee so many contributors, and then how many times people don't show up, and you know, then it looks bad for the organization, and then they're not really happy with us, and so we want it to be successful. So
yeah, if they can track who is coming on behalf of the chapter over some time period, that would be awesome, and make it competitive. And as long as it's fair, if it's, you know, based on population size, that would be a fair way to allocate between the islands winners.
Yeah, and I know you're not doing it for this, but that would be a good opportunity for some publicity for the chapter as well, to be able to share, you know, what the chapter is doing to support the community. So, and just an added thing to that.
yeah,
Great.
no, but yeah, if anybody has any ideas and stuff, please pass it on. I mean, we haven't voted on it yet on a project, but I just brought it up at the last board meeting because, you know, of recent articles that I've been reading about the dire need for blood. And I happen to be a blood donor, so that's also a personal interest for me. But
Yeah.
that's irrelevant. It's, you know, if you can save lives, to me, that's really critical.
Yeah, absolutely. We might be able to take one last question. I want to keep you guys, don't want to keep you longer than we told you we would. Does anyone have anything additional?
I'll just throw out, since we talked about the CED, and you guys are so well prepared and organized, and I got literally a Ziploc bag with some keys and a checkbook. It was a little more sudden than we planned, and it wasn't nearly as put together what was handed off when our CED resigned. And so the first thing that went through my mind was, what happens if I get hit by a bus on my way home? So I copied the entire hard drive of the CED's laptop. I put it on the Google Drive. I made every other member of the board an owner of it. I took a copy of the keys and the QuickBooks, and I had them mailed to another person on the board, just so that, not, you know, worst comes to worst, you know, everything, we would have at least what we had. So just keeping backups of files is hugely important.
Yeah. Or if you win the lottery, you know, and go to the island, like you guys were talking about, that you might.
Yes. Yes.
That too. Well, and not only when you have a CED transition, but before, because your CEDs could win the lottery as well. So I think it's a good time, you know, before you even know you're going to have some transition, to make some of those standard operating procedures are in place, that someone else knows all of the information that's here, you know, in the CED's head. I think, Susan, it sounds like Steve was really good at making some of those procedures, and I don't know, you know, maybe we can talk later, you know, about you sharing those with us, or at least sharing something so we can get boards prepared, because it's important. And I was a CED, and I don't feel, and I left my board with a lot of information and things they needed, but I still felt like I could have done more to prepare them for that transition as well. And I look back like, oh, I wish I would have done that. So it's really important to be proactive. All right, so I do want to let you know, those of you guys that submitted chapter awards, we actually had 77 nominations submitted, which is fantastic. We were really excited with that. The judges are in the process of judging, and I asked them to be completed by the end of next week. So you guys shortly after that should be hearing the results from us. So wanted to give you an update on that as well. But please, if you're going to conference, be sure that you register and look for all of the information for our chapter leader lounge. And as always, if you need anything, we're here to help you guys. And thank you for all you guys do. And thank you for committing to be here with us. I think it's a great opportunity for you guys to chat. So no one has anything else. You guys have a great day.